Welcome to the Student Voice. My name is Becca Cohen, and today we are joined by Secretary Way, New Jersey's Secretary of State. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm joined today by my lovely co-hosts.
I'm Riya, Kachroo.
And I'm John Segreto.
It is truly an honor to have you on our show, Secretary Way. To start off, I wanted to go over some of your many great accomplishments. Among the many other things you have done, you have been an administrative law judge for New Jersey, elected to the Passaic County Board of Chosen Freeholders in 2006, and served as director in 2009. You have also served on the board of directors for the Institute of Women's Policy Research and many other amazing things. What drove you to pursue a career in public service?
Well, again, thank you for having me, Becca and company. I tell you, I look back at my life, and there are two, I want to say, defining moments which really drove me to public service. I start with my mom and my dad. They were public service, public workers. And the one thing that I saw in them was their desire and their true want to give back to their community. And they somewhat instilled that in both my older brother and myself. And then, as I was a rising junior in college, I suffered a cerebral hemorrhage. And so at that time, when for me, all things were good, I truly had to reflect upon what I wanted to accomplish in life. Now, I also saw how the doctors and the nurses, all of the medical practitioners, somewhat made me whole. So at that moment, I did not have a knack for math nor science. I did have a passion for law and for people. And so I said to myself, Tahesha, what can I do to assist to make others' lives whole? And that's when I thought of not only pursuing a legal degree, but also trying to meld that into being a public servant to others.
That's really amazing. Thank you. Did you have similar passions going into university, or was it really just like all came to be there?
Well, again, I think that my mom and my dad were at that time my two inspirations. And for me, I'd always wanted to enter a university. I went to Brown. I saw Brown when I was like you guys saying, what school can I go to? I wanted to, again, be part of a learning experience, which not only would say to me, okay, this is your career, but how is it that I can be a change agent and better the lives of not only my community, but those outside of my community. So I saw that in Brown University, and that's where I landed, too.
That's very exciting. Brown is a very good school. So I also was wondering, I know you're the incoming president, you might correct me if I'm wrong, incoming president of the National Association of Secretary of State.
Yes, the incoming president, yes.
So I would like to know, what does that mean? Like, what is going to be your role in that?
Oh, that's a good question. Not so many folk know that, as public servants, we do have national associations. And for me, it's the National Association of Secretary of State. And I am just so humbled that my national colleagues have, entrusted me to serve as the incoming president come July. Now, National Association of Secretaries of State is the oldest, this is what I'm really proud of, we are the oldest nonpartisan public service for public service elected and appointed organization. And the beauty behind this association, and I think it becomes, a beauty outside of anything that you experience, is that we're able to engage, we're able to exchange best practices. Now, no state is alike. There's no cookie cutter approach to any of this. But at the same time, you get to meet your national colleagues, see what they're doing in terms of the election space. The majority of us do serve as our state's chief election officer. But there are other portfolios that we engage in, such as our historical, our archives, I want to say the international front, and there's business components too.
Do you find that Secretary of States is a diverse profession, or is it more, because I know you're a black woman, a predominantly male-dominated profession. How do you deal with that, and how do you find your position?
Well, I start with your first question in terms of the Secretary of States. I just want to point out that the majority of Secretaries of States are elected. For me, I'm one, of several who are appointed. Now, the second question, in terms of me being a black woman and how I feel and, the governmental space, if you will, and throughout my walk of life, I always say, yeah, there have been, plenty of occasions in which I have been the only one, not only black person, but the only female person who walks into a certain space. But I just think back to how I'm supposed to be authentic of who I am. I think back to, something, the door was open for you to walk into this room to be part of something because you're competent enough to be part of something. I also think back to, you mentioned I was, from my bio, administrative law judge. And I still remember there were moments in which I would walk into the proceeding, even wearing my robe, and the folk in the galley would look and say, like, is she the judge? Kind of thing. But, with my belief in who I am, my experiences, my education, and just again being authentic to who you are, to what you can bring to a certain space. I have to say, I'm happy, that I was able to get that opportunity. I look back that, to my understanding, none of my legal decisions were ever appealed in appellate division or anything like that. And that goes to say for, you never can control how people will look upon who you are, but you still can control what you can contribute as a person.
What is your biggest piece of advice for youth who aspire to do similar roles that you do?
I love that question. And I often get asked that, and I appreciate it when youth, such as yourselves, ask that question because, as I was growing up, I always searched for, what can I do and what could reinforce me to do what I needed to do. And I just hark back on the words that my mother would always say to me, even as a small child, before I would get out of her car, not wanting to go to school, but I went to school. And she would say, Tahesha, just be present. And, for me, and I've told my girls, just be present, because being present is understanding your value. It's knowing who you are and what you want to do. It's entering a room. We were just mentioning walking into a room, being authentic. You don't have to be the most vociferous one talking all over the place, but it's just bringing value to a conversation. And also outside of that, just not speaking the talk, it's also putting action and looking for solutions. Mm-hmm.
I guess you still hold that true today because you're present here with us today, and we're so happy that you're here.
Yes, it's like I say, it's an honor, just being here, seeing the youth, wanting to not only talk about what does the Office of the New Jersey Secretary of State do, but to bring some awareness to the public. Because one of our main priorities at the Department of State is to give some more awareness, some more education about civics, basic civics. So I thank you again for having me here.
Moving on to your other roles, I know that you have a great impact on the elections, and you do a great job ensuring that everyone eligible gets a vote. I would love to know more about that and what you do to get accessible voting for New Jersey.
Well, that is an important question because elections is top of mind, not only at my department for myself, but I think that nationally elections is important. And I do want to credit, the state legislature and of course our governor for understanding the importance of fair, free, and safe and secure elections. In New Jersey, we have automatic voter registration. We have online voter registration. Those who are serving on parole and probation can now register to vote, then vote. We have in-person early voting. I hope, folk will take advantage of that this upcoming primary, as well as we have the no excuse vote by mail here in New Jersey. And then finally, we have hundreds of the ballot drop boxes. Many ways for everyone to get engaged.
All right. What else do you think high schoolers can do to learn more about voting and get accessible?
Yeah, that's a good question. Vote.nj.gov. I want to repeat it one more time. Vote.nj.gov. That's our hub where you can find everything election related. There's the contact information so that folk like yourselves can actually get familiarized with your local election officials. I also say, just become more engaged in your community. Know who your county commissioners are, in addition to your mayor and your council, school board members. In some districts, we have fire election races. Yeah, we have fire election races. And these are, the simple things. And of course, show some respect and get to know and learn in social studies and history class all the good things about voting historically. That adds to it too.
What's the difference between a fire election race than like a regular election race?
Well, the fire election races deal with the fire districts.
Oh,
yes,
okay, that's interesting.
To elect the various folk to rep with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of folk don't even realize, that they live in a town that has a fire district. So, you want to go to vote.nj.gov and get all of this good information. You can actually see the links that describe automatic voter registration at the motor vehicle commissions. You could also OVR and register there. And one of the initiatives that have come out of our department is the New Jersey College Ballot Bowl. And we now have high schools participating in our friendly competition to see who can register the most people to vote, and also pledging that they will vote. So hopefully Wayne Hills can, be a part of it.
Yeah, hopefully we can. I'd love to do that. I know I'm still 16, but John will be able to vote soon, right?
Yeah, I actually just voted in this most recent governor election.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool experience being able to vote for the first time.
Yes, that's nice. And, again, we had in 2021, when you first voted, John, the introduction of the first in-person early voting.
Mm-hmm.
So, wonderful experience. We heard things went relatively well during the in-person early voting.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you can actually register before you turn 18 if you turn 18 before the election,
when you're 17 and you tell all your friends, let's have a, voter registration drive, or, a nice party, not the parties that, just a nice party, a calm party, friendly party.
All right. Thank you so much, Secretary Way. After this short break, Riya will have some more questions for you.
Welcome back. Let's continue our discussion with Secretary Way. A significant part of your job as Secretary of State is to handle the Arts and Culture Department of New Jersey. You handle the New Jersey State Museum, State Archives, Cultural Trust, a variety of commissions, and a multitude of other things. The work that you do truly keeps the arts, history, culture, and communities vibrant in New Jersey. So a question that I have is, what are some of the initiatives that you and your team has taken to keep arts and culture alive in our state?
Yes, well, I thank you for that. I have to first say that it's so exciting, and it's so, a wonderful part of the experience of serving as Secretary of State, being able to engage with the arts and the culture. Because just like when we read a book, we look for an experience to make our human existence and experiences better. That's what the arts and that's what culture tries to bring about. It's that sort of vibrancy. And I know our main focus now, Riya, is just trying to recover from the pandemic, to be truthful, just because, the arts was one of the most institutions that were truly impacted by COVID-19. So, the Council on the Arts of portfolio that I have, I salute them. They work hard 24/7 a day. And they, of course, and what we're trying to do is, again, making sure that all New Jerseyans can access the beauty of the arts, the creativity, the help that we all need, from an emotional standpoint, seeing something through the eyes of someone else, of course, again, to make us better. So we are going about doing supports that way. And one of the programs that I just would want to highlight that the arts has ushered in these past years has been a diversity in arts leadership program, a national program in which, they look for college students who come from, various backgrounds, minority backgrounds, underserved, and place them into the pipeline of art professions, such as being a curator, so that they can get that lifelong learning experience and they can succeed too. I have to say the arts is a major, not only does it help with the vibrancy of, the quality of life, but it's also a major economic driver within New Jersey. I'm talking about an estimated 25,000 jobs it supports. And, when it's up and thriving, the millions of dollars in economic impact it has for New Jersey too.
I think that what you've done with arts and culture is really, really great. And especially how you said it's really been affected by COVID. I think you've done a lot. And I was reading on your website all of the different kind of initiatives and things that you guys have and are running. And I think it's really great. And I just have another quick question before we wrap it up.
Sure.
What have you learned most from this part of your job, because you have such a heavy involvement with arts and culture?
Again, I have a great team, and I really can't do it by myself all across the spectrum. Again, it's just the one thing I've learned about the arts is just trying in different spaces. You have, not only are we talking about artwork, paintings, we're talking about the statues, that you may see. We're talking about, I love poetry out loud, the expression of it all. For all of us to take a minute and step aside from our day-to-day and reflect upon all of this creativity, bring us all together in friendly spaces and try to, have some commonality when in life there can be divisiveness. So that's really the beauty behind all of it. And I am humbled, to support my team and Council on the Arts, the State Art Museum, the archives, and our historical portfolio too. And, the beauty with all of my directors, they are, they have those synergies going on within their departments too. So I appreciate that.
I think it's so interesting too, because I thought a huge part of your job was I knew about the voting and stuff like that, but it's really cool to hear how much of an emphasis there really is on arts and culture in New Jersey, and I think it definitely shows. So thank you for everything that you do.
Well, thank you. And again, I just thank my team, and you spoke about voting, and even my Arts Council have found ways to intertwine civic engagement.
Well, we want to thank you so much for being here, Mrs. Way, on behalf of my co-hosts, Becca, Cohen, Riya, Kachroo, and everyone here at WHTV. And I'm John Segreto, and see you next time on The Student Voice.